Welcome back, friends. This is the Ridgeview Pod. My name is Michael Yates, where we try to cover everything hope, healing, and recovery related. We're glad you tuned back in for this week's episode. Brandon Knight, man, it's been forever.
It has been a while. How are you?
Good to see you, man.
Same.
There's something about that thing that you're resting your hands on. Something's changed.
Yeah, so I'm using it as a prop today. Last time I was here, I believe you were promoting an upcoming 5K that we have going on. And I was saying that I was hopeful I would be able to participate in some capacity because I was going to have a knee surgery. So I had the knee surgery, rather extensive one at that. And now I am also promoting hope for this 5K because I am down from 2 crutches to 1. And I have almost 2 months to get down from 1 to none. And my plan is still to participate in this 5K in some capacity.
Perfect.
So looking forward to it.
All right. So for all those people watching this, don't let anything stand in your
That's
way,
right.
even a crutch.
If I can hobble, everybody else can come out too.
That's
Yep.
awesome. Well, that's a perfect place for us to begin is promoting the 5K. I think the last time you were on, we talked a little bit about that. I'm wearing the shirt from 2019.
Yes, sir.
We will put up in this episode a snapshot of this year's T-shirt, which has been approved and is prepped with Threads, who's one of our sponsors. So, yeah, you want to come out and get a T-shirt, you can either participate in person or certainly virtually. So please go to the link, which is also up on the screen, and register. As we're also looking for volunteers. So there's a cool opportunity with this being October 30th, Saturday, October 30th, the day before Halloween, that folks can dress up.
Right.
And so whether you're a walker, a runner, or a volunteer, you'll be entered into the Who's the Best Costume contest.
Nice.
So,
And our shirts are Halloween themed as well, correct?
yes, yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So summertime, I think, one of our earlier episodes that has been viewed a number of times was actually profiling Michael J. Fox's book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we even had little Michael J. Fox
We
right
did.
here. Yeah. So it got me to thinking about books. I should read more than I do. I'm afraid I've become a streamer. Too many things to watch. But when I go on vacation, it does seem to be one of these high holy times where I end up actually reading books. And so in July, I thought, I need to read a book, and I need to read a classic. So one of the books, I read 3. I'm remembering 2 of them. One of them I thought was probably not suitable for this podcast because it was a biography on Tom Brady.
I'm glad you didn't bring that one in here.
So, I mean, I know that's going to come as a surprise. But the other one was Ernest Hemingway. So I know that people have talked about Hemingway's writing style as being brutish.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, that's kind of in my wheelhouse. I can read something that's, simple sentence structure and, maybe I should read some Hemingway. So I got The Sun Also Rises. No pictures in it, unfortunately.
No pop-ups?
No pop-ups,
Okay.
no scratch and sniffs.
I'm going to let you keep it then.
Yeah. And so this thing was written in the late 20s. Yeah, I think it was his first novel. And so I read it, and I thought there were sections where the language, some of the racial insensitivity caught me completely off guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was not ready for that. That said, there were a couple of sentences in there that struck me, and I thought, especially as it relates to COVID, and I wanted to share them with you and see what you thought. So one of the sentences was, this was between the protagonist and he's talking to someone else. Don't you ever get the feeling that all your life is going by and you're not taking advantage of it? Do you realize you've lived nearly half the time you have to live already? Now, I mean, normally that's an sort of an existential, reflection there. We probably all do it. Wow, I'm 56 today. You double my age, and I'll never make it past 100. So you end up having these sort of existential moments of discussion, which can be fun. However, it struck me this time because we're in the midst of I don't know if we're still in pandemic, post-pandemic, transitional pandemic. I don't know anymore. But it struck me that one of the byproducts of COVID has been for people, it seems to have given people pause, whether professionally, personally, to wonder, because either they've been quarantined at home, maybe they've lost their job, maybe they've lost their housing, maybe they've had to grossly rethink how they're living their life. And as a result, I mean, people are making complete changes in their vocation, what they do with their life, where they live, how they spend their time, whether they're going to have an office job or a home-based job, whether they're going to work 40 hours a week or, 30 hours a week is just fine for me. And I've seen, I think I've seen that not only on social media, but in articles and news with friends as they reflect on their own life. And you don't have to be 56. I mean, people are doing it in their early 20s, mid 20s. They're wondering, I just don't know if the prescribed way of living my life pertains to me anymore. Do you get that sense?
I do. I have several friends that work in various aspects of healthcare, from medical hospitals to behavioral health. Several friends that are school teachers. And the last year and a half has definitely changed the dynamic of their lives, whether it's them realizing that they're too consumed with work and not spending enough time with the family, or to follow up on what you said with some of the changes in the workplace. We've realized, I think, that certain things we didn't think were possible before are possible. Now, it doesn't mean every job is going to say, just go home and work from there, but it shows there's some flexibility. And so I know a lot of people personally that are now doing more of a split type employment. I work a few days at home. I work a few days in the office. I'm, enjoying my time better because I'm not constantly stressed out. I'm spending more time with my kids or my dog. There's been a lot of changes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought up teachers and other healthcare professionals, because that too, in a lot of ways, some of those vocations are a front line of social work in a lot of ways. And, they too are rethinking, how to spend their time. Then I don't know where it ultimately goes or how it plays out, but I wonder for our viewership, our listenership, if there are books that they have read or movies that they have watched. I'd be curious if they put it in the comments, things that have struck them differently, certainly in these times. It feels, it may be, maybe every generation, every year we go through this, it just is more poignant to me now that we seem to be sort of caught between crisis and disaster, and we're just sort of like between these two, globally, and climate-wise, so
So maybe the pandemic status doesn't really matter anymore. We just call it pandemonium. We roll with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So that was one I thought was I don't know, it struck me, and I continue to think about that. The other was, you ought to dream. All of our biggest, he says, businessmen, we could say business people, have been dreamers. And I thought, that whole concept of dreaming in terms of hope, that it's in, though we may always feel like we're teetering between crisis and disaster, that still dreaming about what can be, whether it's vocationally or personally, is still a good thing to do, and it's okay to do.
Absolutely.
It may seem counterintuitive because, we want to be empathetic for the plight of what so many people are dealing with. When we're recording this, we've just witnessed this hurricane system go from the south all the way up to the northeast, and people are, they've lost their homes, their livelihoods, it's just horrific stuff to watch. And yet still, I watch some of these people being interviewed, and they seem resolute, and many of them are dreaming of, I'm going to rebuild. I'm going to make this happen. This has not gotten, now is when you're going to get the best of me, kind of thing. And I'm just awestruck by it. Do you see a connection in all that out there in the world?
I think that so human beings are resilient, right? We get knocked down a lot, we get back up. That's human nature. And actually, when you emailed me and asked me to be a part of this, you kind of said that you wanted to highlight on human nature, which I was glad to get back to. Just not clinical talk, just talking about people, right? That's why we're in the professions that we're in, because we enjoy helping people. And I think that the last year and a half has really highlighted for people that changes are possible, that the frameworks, the prescriptions that you mentioned earlier of how we're going to live our lives, they just don't have to be set in stone. And so you do see people, you see kids dreaming of things that are outside of their family's wheelhouse. You see adults, like you said, changing their employment, changing their home structure, doing these things because there's more availability now. More things, despite how horrific the last year and a half has been in some aspects, more things seem possible. And that's something to definitely have hope for. Absolutely.
Yeah. And man, it just seems to be a element of promoting resilience in yourself, is don't forget to dream. That's a good quality to have. In places like Ridgeview, if you need some help along the way, whether it's a therapist, a care coordinator, a program, a substance use disorder program, med management, whatever it might be, that those can be tools and resources to help you maximize your goals and hopes for the future and further some of your dreams. So
I think talking about the future, that's important. You brought your book in, which I'm not going to lie, I've never read. Probably should have. May borrow it from you at some point. I have not spent a lot of time over the summer reading, like really capital R reading, but I have these books that I've been looking through. They're called PostSecret, and they're kind of collection books. So people write to the author anonymously, and they put in there their deepest, darkest secrets, their wishes, dreams, desires, things that they feel proud of, or moments that maybe they don't feel proud of. And I think that it's a very cathartic way for people to get things off their chest, right? So with this conversation that we've been having, I found it really interesting. Pre-pandemic, but one of the things in this book is from a child. It says that I'm only in 8th grade and 13 years old, but my life is flying right before my eyes, and I'm terrified that I'm not living it to the fullest. That's from a kid, a preteen, teen, whatever you want to call it. So we're sitting here talking about this at 56 and 35, but this is a child. And that's not the mentality that we want kids to have. And so, with everything that you've mentioned today, that should be the focus. Dream, go for goals, set new goals, get help if you need it. It's certainly out there, which is another benefit that I think the pandemic brought along, is showing everyone the different aspects of assistance that are out there for whatever you may need. You know, a lot of people didn't know that certain social programs or behavioral health programs even existed. And I think that's kind of at the forefront of everybody's attention now. So, yeah, absolutely. Set a dream and go for it.
Well, that's can't think of a better note to end on. I mean, yeah, I got little goosebumps of hearing that from a 13-year-old. Maybe that 13-year-old read this book.
Maybe they'll write the next version of that book.
Right. Well, Brandon, it's always good to have you come in, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, enjoyed spending time with you, and we hope you enjoyed spending time with us. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notification of our weekly episode. Take good care of yourself and don't stop dreaming. Take care.
Thank you.